Picture this. You are scrolling through Instagram at midnight, watching someone half your age flash a Rolex while standing next to a Lamborghini. Your heart sinks a little. Then you see another post, someone your age buying their third investment property. And suddenly, you are wondering, where exactly do I stand when it comes to money? Here's what most people do not realize. Those flashy posts you see represent less than 1% of reality. We live in a world where everyone shows their highlight reel, but hides their bank statements. That person with the luxury car? They might be drowning in debt. That friend posting from Bali? Could be maxing out credit cards. The truth is, most people have absolutely no idea what poor, middle class, or rich actually means in real numbers. We throw these terms around constantly, but if I asked you right now to tell me the exact net worth that makes someone middle class versus rich, could you answer? Think about this for a moment. We make financial decisions every single day without knowing where we actually stand. It is like trying to lose weight without ever stepping on a scale, or trying to improve your grades without knowing the class average. And that is where everything begins to change. Because today, we are going to uncover the real numbers that define financial classes in America. What I am about to reveal might shock you, comfort you, or wake you up in a way that changes how you think about money forever. Before we dive into these life-changing numbers, let me ask you something. When someone says they are wealthy, what does that actually mean? Here's the part that changes everything. Wealth is not about how much money you make each month. It is about how much you keep. Your net worth is the single most important financial number you will ever calculate. Yet most people have never done the math. It is beautifully simple. Everything you own minus everything you owe. Add up your house value, your car, your investments, your savings, even that furniture and electronics in your home. Then, subtract every debt. Your mortgage, car loans, student loans, credit cards. The number you are left with? That is your true financial position. For some people, that number is positive. For others, it is negative. And that number determines where you really stand in America's financial hierarchy. Now, there's something important to watch out for here. The Federal Reserve releases this data every few years, and what it reveals about American households will blow your mind. According to the most recent survey, the median American household net worth sits at about $193,000. That means half of all households are below that number and half are above. But here is the twist no one talks about. The average net worth is over $1 million. How can the average be 5 times bigger than the median? The answer reveals everything about wealth inequality in America. Imagine you are at a party where half the people are shorter than 5 feet 6 inches. Then suddenly, 5 giants walk in at 8 feet tall. What happens to the average height? It shoots up dramatically, even though most people remain exactly the same height they were before. This is exactly how wealth works in America. A tiny group of people at the very top hold so much money that they pull the entire average way up, creating this massive gap between what is typical and what is average. The data shows something fascinating. While the median household sits at $193,000, the top 1% of Americans hold more wealth than the entire bottom 50% combined. Let me tell you what really happens when wealth concentrates like this. It creates a completely distorted picture of what normal looks like. You might see news reports talking about average net worth being over $1 million and think you are falling behind. But the reality? You could have $200,000 in net worth and be doing better than half of all American families. This hits different when you realize that most of what we think we know about wealth comes from these skewed averages. not the actual lived experience of typical Americans. The wealthy think differently about this too. They understand that being in the top 50% is actually an achievement worth celebrating, not something to be ashamed of. Now let's walk through the actual numbers, starting at the bottom. And don't be surprised if you find yourself in a different group than you thought. The lower class encompasses people with a net worth between $0 and about $17,000. The median here sits around $6,000. Think about that number for a moment. $6,000. That is less than what many families spend on a single vacation, less than a reliable used car, less than most people's annual insurance premiums. But here's where things get real. Not everyone in this group is destined to stay here. A 22-year-old fresh out of college with student loans and no assets technically falls into this category, but they might have a high-paying career waiting for them. A divorced parent who just split assets might temporarily land here too. Life in this group is genuinely challenging. These are the families living paycheck to paycheck, with no emergency savings to speak of. When unexpected expenses hit, and they always do, these families often turn to payday loans or credit cards with sky-high interest rates. And that is where everything begins to change for the worse. There is a cruel financial reality at play here. When you have less money, everything costs more. You cannot buy in bulk to save money. You do not qualify for the best interest rates. You pay deposits and fees just to access basic services. Being poor is expensive. Step up one level and you reach the lower middle class, where net worth ranges from about $17,000 to $43,000, with the median sitting around $27,000. People in this group often have steady employment, a modest car that they might still be paying off, perhaps a small house, and maybe some retirement savings just getting started. But here's the twist no one talks about. They are often stuck in the most frustrating financial position imaginable. They make too much money to qualify for government assistance programs, but not enough to feel truly secure. Every financial decision has to be calculated carefully because there is no real cushion if things go wrong. One job loss, one medical emergency, one major car repair, and they can be wiped out completely. It feels overwhelming, but here's the thing. This group represents millions of hardworking Americans who are doing everything they think they should be doing. They show up to work every day. They pay their bills on time. They try to save a little each month. Yet they still feel like they are one crisis away from disaster. From what I have observed, the key to escaping this group is not just earning more money, though that helps. It is creating systems that protect you from financial shocks and building wealth consistently, even if it starts small. When most Americans picture middle-class life, they are thinking of this group. Households with net worth between $58,000 and $169,000, with the median around $145,000. These families have achieved some of the traditional markers we associate with financial stability. They typically own their homes, have established retirement accounts, can take modest vacations without going into debt, and have built a small financial buffer for when life throws curveballs. But even here, there is a wide spectrum of experiences. Someone at the bottom of this range might still feel stretched thin, carefully budgeting for every expense. Meanwhile, someone closer to the top might feel relatively comfortable, able to make purchases without constant stress. What unites this entire group is a sense of balance. They are not living paycheck to paycheck anymore, but they are also not free from thinking about money regularly. They still need to budget, still need to plan for major expenses, and still worry about things like college tuition for their kids, retirement adequacy, and unexpected medical bills. This is where timing matters most. Families in this group who start investing consistently in their 30s and 40s often find themselves moving up to the next level by retirement. But those who get caught up in lifestyle inflation or fail to invest systematically can find themselves stuck here indefinitely, or even sliding backward during economic downturns. Based on these net worth ranges, where do you currently stand? Drop a comment below. I read every single one and often respond with personalized advice. Now we enter the territory where things start to get really interesting. The upper middle class, also known as the mass affluent. To join this group, you need a net worth between about $500,000 and $2 million. These are typically your doctors, lawyers, engineers, successful business owners, and senior executives. They live in desirable neighborhoods, send their children to excellent schools, and can save aggressively for retirement while still maintaining comfortable lifestyles. But here's something that might surprise you. Many people in this group do not actually feel rich at all. In fact, they often feel more stressed about money than people with far less wealth. Why does this happen? The answer is lifestyle inflation, and it is one of the most dangerous wealth destroyers that exists. As their incomes grew over the years, so did their expenses. That modest starter home became a bigger house in a better neighborhood. The reliable used car became a luxury SUV. Occasional dinners out evolved into fine dining multiple times per week. Before they realized what happened, they were earning 2 or 3 times what they used to make, but still feeling financially stressed. Financial planners have a term for these people: Henrys. High earners, not rich yet. And it represents a real trap, because from the outside, they look incredibly successful. But on the inside, they are not building wealth nearly as fast as they could be. Let's step into the realm most people dream about, the upper class, which starts around $2.6 million in net worth. But stay with me on this, because even within this group, there are dramatic differences in lifestyle and financial freedom. Someone with $2.6 million is undeniably wealthy by any reasonable measure. But they might still be working full-time, still making budget decisions, still weighing trade-offs between different purchases. However, cross into the top 1%, which requires somewhere between $6 and $12 million, depending on which study you reference, and the entire picture changes dramatically. At this level, your investments often generate more income annually than most people earn from their jobs. Your money is truly working harder than you are. But even that is not the peak of the pyramid. The real summit, the top 0.1%, starts at around $62 million. These are the families with private jets, multiple mansions, and investment portfolios that include stakes in companies most people have never heard of. They have access to private equity deals, hedge funds, and investment opportunities that normal investors will never see. Their wealth does not just provide comfort, it builds empires and creates generational impact. Here's what the experts do not tell you. Each level of wealth comes with its own unique challenges and opportunities. The strategies that work at $2 million are completely different from those that work at $20 million. If understanding these wealth categories is eye-opening for you, subscribe for more practical financial education that cuts through the noise. Now, before you start feeling discouraged or overly confident about these numbers, there's a huge factor we need to address. Geography completely changes what wealth feels like and what it can buy. A $2 million net worth might make you feel like royalty in a small town in Kansas, but in Manhattan or San Francisco, it might barely cover a decent apartment and some basic comfort. The research reveals something mind-blowing about income inequality by location. In West Virginia, an annual income of $400,000 puts you in the top 1% of earners. But in Connecticut, you would need over $1 million per year just to qualify for that same top 1% status. This is why timing matters so much when we talk about wealth. Where you choose to live can completely transform your financial reality. Two families with identical net worth can live entirely different lives based solely on their zip code. A couple in Omaha with $600,000 in net worth might own a beautiful 4-bedroom home outright, drive reliable cars without payments, take annual vacations, and feel genuinely wealthy. Meanwhile, a couple in San Francisco with that exact same $600,000 might still be renting a 2-bedroom apartment, feeling squeezed by childcare costs that exceed most people's annual salaries, and constantly stressed about money. The number is identical, but the lifestyle is night and day. Poor mindset says wealth is just about the number, but rich mindset says wealth is about what that number can actually do for your life. Let's dive deeper into one of the biggest wealth destroyers that keeps people trapped regardless of their income level: lifestyle inflation. This might be the most important thing I tell you today because it explains why so many high earners never feel truly wealthy. Picture this scenario. You start your career making $50,000 per year. You live in a modest apartment, drive an older car, and cook most of your meals at home. Your expenses are around $40,000 annually, so you are actually saving $10,000 per year. Then success hits. You get a promotion and your income jumps to $80,000. What do most people do? They upgrade. Better apartment, newer car, more restaurant meals. Suddenly, their expenses climb to $75,000. They are still saving some money, but proportionally less than before. Then another promotion comes, bringing income to $150,000. And the pattern repeats. The apartment becomes a house, the car becomes luxury, the vacations get more elaborate. Before long, they're earning 3 times their starting salary, but saving the same amount, or sometimes even less. That is lifestyle inflation in action, and it is absolutely devastating to wealth building. Here's where it gets interesting. The people who break free from this trap understand a fundamental truth. Wealth is not about how much you make, it is about how much you keep and invest. A doctor earning $300,000 but spending $280,000 is not building wealth nearly as fast as a teacher earning $70,000 but consistently investing $15,000 every year. Social media has created an unprecedented pressure to look rich instead of actually being rich, and this pressure is financially destroying an entire generation. Let me paint you a picture of what this looks like in real life. Meet two friends, Veronica and Alex. Both earn $120,000 annually, solid upper-middle-class incomes. Veronica buys a $70,000 SUV on credit because she wants to project success. She lives in an impressive house with a massive mortgage, takes luxury vacations twice a year funded by credit cards, and fills her social media with expensive experiences. On the surface, she looks incredibly successful. But here's the brutal truth. Her net worth is barely growing because everything she earns gets consumed by lifestyle expenses and debt payments. Alex takes a completely different approach. He drives a reliable used car, lives in a modest but comfortable home, and invests $30,000 every year in low-cost index funds. His social media shows simple moments with family and friends, not luxury brands and exotic locations. To outside observers, Alex might seem less successful than Veronica, but fast forward 15 years and the reality becomes crystal clear. Veronica is still stressed about money, still making high payments on depreciating assets, still working just as hard to maintain her lifestyle. Alex, his investments have compounded into millions. He has choices Veronica does not have. He could retire early if he wanted to, travel without debt, or pursue passion projects without worrying about income. Same starting income, completely different outcomes. Understanding where you currently stand is just step 1. Step 2 is creating a strategic plan to move up the wealth ladder, and the approach changes dramatically depending on your starting point. If you are in the lower class, your priority is not complex investment strategies. It is building basic financial stability. Start with a small emergency fund, even if it is just $500. Avoid high-interest debt like credit cards and payday loans at all costs. Focus relentlessly on increasing your income through skill development, side hustles, or strategic career moves. This is about creating breathing room in your financial life. If you are in the lower middle class, your challenge is creating margin between income and expenses. You have some assets, but you are still vulnerable to financial shocks. This is where disciplined budgeting, systematic saving, and beginning to invest become crucial. Every dollar you save and invest is literally buying you future security. For the true middle class, the focus shifts to aggressive growth. You have achieved basic stability. Now it is time to make your money work harder. Max out retirement accounts, invest consistently in diversified index funds, consider real estate opportunities, and start building multiple income streams. Your goal is moving from comfortable to truly secure. Upper middle-class families face a different challenge, avoiding complacency and lifestyle inflation. You might feel comfortable, but without continued discipline, expenses can eat all your progress. This is where advanced strategies matter. Tax optimization, strategic investing, and maintaining spending discipline become critical. You are close to true wealth, but only if you maintain control over your financial habits. Let me ask you a question that might change how you think about money forever. Do you actually need to be in the top 1% to feel wealthy? Most people automatically answer yes, but the truth is far more nuanced and hopeful. Wealth, at its core, is not really about having the most money. It is about having enough money to buy freedom. And freedom means different things to different people. For many families, reaching the upper middle class provides enough financial freedom to live incredibly fulfilling lives. Imagine having a paid-off house, zero debt, fully funded retirement accounts, and enough investments to generate passive income. That might not make you a billionaire, but it absolutely can make you free. And freedom, when you really think about it, is what wealth is actually about. Consider this perspective shift. Two families can have identical net worth, but experience completely different levels of financial peace. One family with $500,000 who lives debt-free in a low-cost area with simple tastes and strong family relationships might feel incredibly wealthy. Another family with the same $500,000 living in an expensive city with high fixed costs and expensive habits might feel constantly stressed about money. The number is the same, but the experience is totally different. This is where everything begins to change in your thinking. Wealth is not just mathematical. It is psychological, emotional, and deeply personal. The research shows something fascinating. Beyond meeting basic needs and having reasonable security, additional money provides diminishing returns on happiness and life satisfaction. Here's something that might be uncomfortable to hear, but it is absolutely liberating once you accept it. Your current net worth is a mirror reflecting every financial decision you have made up to this point. Every purchase, every dollar saved, every investment chosen, every debt taken on, all of it adds up to create that single number. And here's where this gets powerful. If your net worth reflects your past decisions, then your future net worth is entirely within your control through the decisions you make from this moment forward. Think about this for a moment. Every time you choose to save instead of spend, you are literally buying your future self more options. Every time you invest, instead of letting money sit idle, you are putting time and compound growth on your side. Every time you avoid lifestyle inflation and maintain reasonable expenses, you are choosing long-term wealth over short-term appearance. Right now, as we speak, millions of Americans are making the daily micro decisions that will determine their financial futures. Some are choosing the path toward wealth building, while others are unconsciously choosing the path toward financial stress. The beautiful thing about understanding this is that it puts you back in the driver's seat. If you are wondering whether it is too late to start building wealth, the answer is absolutely not. People successfully build wealth at all ages and life stages. Some start young and let compound growth work for decades. Others start later but make massive progress through aggressive saving and smart investing. Wealth building is not about when you start. It is about whether you start and how consistently you stick with proven principles. As we wrap up this deep dive into America's wealth classes, I want to challenge you to think beyond just the numbers we have discussed. These categories, poor, middle class, rich, they are not cages that trap you forever. They are simply snapshots of where you stand today, and snapshots can change dramatically with time and right choices. Maybe you are relieved right now because you discovered you are doing better financially than you thought. Maybe you are shaken because you realized you are not as secure as you believed. Either reaction is completely normal and potentially valuable if it motivates positive change. Here's the truth that wealthy people understand but rarely talk about. These wealth categories are fluid, not fixed. Where you are today does not determine where you will be tomorrow, next year, or at retirement. If you are in the lower class today, you absolutely can climb with the right strategies and persistence. If you are middle class today, you can rise higher through disciplined wealth building. If you are wealthy today, you can lose it all through carelessness or poor decisions. Money is dynamic, and the sooner you stop comparing yourself to everyone else and start focusing on building your own net worth systematically, the sooner you will experience real financial progress. The wealthy think differently about this entire conversation. They understand that true wealth is not about beating other people or reaching some arbitrary number that society deems impressive. True wealth is about reaching the point where your money works harder than you do, where you have genuine choices about how to spend your time, and where financial stress no longer dominates your thoughts and decisions. So, what net worth makes you poor, middle class, or rich? We have covered the numbers, but the real answer goes deeper than statistics. Poor is when you have no financial safety net and live in constant uncertainty. Middle class is when you have achieved stability, but not yet true freedom. Rich is when your money generates enough passive income that work becomes optional, not mandatory. And beyond that lies the realm of generational wealth and societal impact. But here's what I want you to remember as you think about your own financial journey. You do not need to chase someone else's definition of wealthy. Define financial success for yourself based on your values, your dreams, and your vision of a fulfilling life. For some people, wealth means having millions in investment accounts. For others, it means owning a paid-off home and having time to spend with family. Both definitions are valid if they align with your personal goals. The next time you wonder where you stand financially, remember this fundamental truth. Your net worth is just a number, but what you do with that knowledge is everything. The choice to grow, to save consistently, to invest wisely, to avoid the common traps we have discussed, that choice is always in your hands. If you want to accelerate your wealth-building journey, remember that we live in the greatest era of opportunity in human history. Now I want to hear from you. Based on everything we have covered today, where do you currently stand in terms of net worth? Drop a comment below and let me know. I read every comment and often respond with personalized advice. Like this video if you got any value from this content. Your feedback helps me create more videos like this that can change people's financial futures. And remember, I am not a financial advisor. This video is for educational purposes only, and your results will depend on your own decisions and actions. Your wealth-building journey starts with a single decision to take control. That decision can happen right now.